This is Longview Game Day, and we're here for our live broadcast of the bi-district playoff matchup between the Magnolia Bulldogs and the Longview Lobos. I'm joined by Morgan Smith on the end, Katie Baker, Lizzie Baker, and the man, the myth, and the legend, Coach John King, legendary.
Yeah.
How you doing tonight, Coach?
I'm good. Glad to be back at Lobo Stadium and bi-district around the playoffs. Always a fun time of the year for kids and our fans and just Lobo Nation in general.
Coach, you're a well-known man. I was in New York City this week. I'm in Madison Square Garden. This guy's like, "Where are you from with that accent?" I said, "East Texas." He said, "You ever heard of John King?"
No way.
Yeah, and I said, "Yeah, actually, I have. I'm from Longview. We do some stuff down there." And he was like, "I love that guy." I said, "Do you know him?" And he says, "No."
Probably some guy I met at the draft up there when Trent took me up there to the draft. I met him probably on the subway. He knew I was lost.
Yeah, it was funny. He was a Duke fan, and I was just like, "You've never met him, and you just love him?" He's like, "Yeah, I love that guy." All right. It's just weird. Last couple times I've been there, I saw the Longview kids. Last time I was with the theater kids, and then somebody just randomly talks to me about you. You know,
that Rock and Nail's known all across the nation.
It is.
You can't get away.
Yeah, Lobo Nation. It represents itself well, and you know it's kind of a unique situation. You go different places like you're talking about, and everybody talks about the Lobos. And that's kind of an honor.
Man, I couldn't be here last week. I couldn't. But Frank was telling me did some personnel changes, moving people around.
Yeah, we did a few. And we'll see what tonight holds. But we're gonna do what we got to do, try to win, and whatever it takes.
Taylor had some really nice highlights on defense.
He did, and
I didn't believe him at first.
Well, I mean, I didn't realize he'd subbed in. Well, I know it's a green light to put him in, and I didn't see him sub, and I saw the big hit. I said, "Who was that?"
He seemed excited to be out there on defense.
He did.
That's for sure.
He's a good football player. He can play a lot of things for us. I mean, running back, linebacker, return kicks. He can throw the ball too. So he's a weapon.
Yeah.
All right, so with a team this young, and this is a big game, right? We know what they're capable of. We've seen that for a couple weeks in a row at home. How do you keep these kids on cue and have their emotions kind of leveled out for a game like this?
Well, our program's been in the playoffs 21 straight years, and typically we take our JV kids with us when we travel, and they've been in some big venues and had an opportunity to be a part of some big games for us. So, I mean, I think that helps. As well as, the understanding of how we practice, what we're trying to get done, and just, going from week to week. But there's some you got to reel in. The reality of what you're about to go into and compete in. Sometimes it doesn't quite hit home until later in the week.
Can I ask you how last week's huge win influenced this week? Did they have more excitement in the first round of playoffs?
Well, the big thing was they were glad to be able to play at home again.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly our 30 sengers, and that's something you got to try to feed off of. It's a lot better going into the playoffs with a win and a loss.
Yes.
And we're going to try to build on that, and it's about being 1-0 each week from here on out, and that's the motto, and that's what we're going to live by.
I know growing up, my dad, who's a coach, he's always like, during playoff games, you always look forward to Monday's practice. So is that something that y'all preach as well? Get through Friday, looking forward to Monday's practice?
Well, the big thing is we changed some things up during practice on Mondays during the playoffs. Just trying. It's so late in the season. I mean, we're now in 15 weeks of football season. Mm-hmm. So, you got to add a little variety, have a few change-ups, and we do look forward to it. And sometimes you're kind of apprehensive because you're trying to just guard against any surprises. Mm-hmm. Normally they're bad surprises. Somebody's sick, or all of a sudden, something popped up over the weekend where an injury, maybe a little more severe than what you thought. So there's a little excitement leading up to it, and then again there's some of that unknown.
Coach, I can't find anything on Magnolia.
Well, I got plenty of them.
Well, that's the reason I'm asking you. I know you would. Tell us about them.
Very good football team. They were district champions last year, and they've got 15 starters back from the football team. They had to make a few changes. They lost some quality players. But I would say the strength of their football team is their defense right now, just because, they got some youth and inexperience on offense. But defensively, getting up 14 points a game, then offensively, they're going to give you a multitude of formations and different schemes. They love running the quarterback. He can throw it, so you can't just load the box and stop him. But Craig Martin's been there. I guess this is his third year, if I'm not mistaken. But he's disciple from the Mike Spradlin tree that, is at Rockwall Heath now, and just very tempo-oriented offense. And, they pressure in a lot of ways. So that, and then, their punt block teams blocked 6 punts this year.
I was about to say,
That's a huge
I
concern.
heard that in special teams.
And they're great on special teams, blocking kicks and returning kicks. So very well coached football team. And, like I said, 15 starters back from last year's district championship team and had an early exit from the playoffs. So I know that he has his team eager to see if they can, move on.
Well, if they're throwing the ball every down, they better watch out for Willie. I always called him Willie Andrews. Every time I get ready to say his name, I say Willie Andrews.
Well, both
Willie
of them are
Nelson.
pretty good. Yeah, Willie Nelson. He's a great football player and just a sophomore. But, Willie does a great job. He's normally matched up on their best receiver.
Yeah.
We'll flip him around. And, but Jaden Simmons does excellent on the other side. Chase Smith is another sophomore in the secondary, is playing well right now, making a bunch of tackles for us.
Good.
So I was upstairs last week and didn't get to be on set and talk with you, but I heard you mention something I wanted to ask you about. For those of us that don't know, the gold socks, is that a tradition that you started, or was it here when you got here? Or tell us a little bit about how that came about.
We started this in 2012.
Okay.
We had a game at home. It was the last game of the season, and we had to beat Rockwall by a certain number of points. I said, look, this is playoff mode now, and I've preached it all week long, and we always talk about, bleed green, win gold. And we were in the pregame deal, and I was talking to them, and I had a pair on, and they didn't know it, and they had no idea because, I don't like that. I'm kind of traditionalist. And then I talked to them about bleeding green and winning gold, and I pulled up those socks, and that place went crazy. So it's become a tradition since then.
That's really cool.
That's what I love about Longview, man. There's so many traditions and just so many Longview graduates and fans walking around everywhere. It's just big time. And you've been a huge, huge, huge part of that.
Well, been fortunate to be here as long as I have. I can
Yeah.
tell you that. That's not the norm in today's world. And believe me, every time we take the field, that's who we represent as Lobo Nation. It's the alumni. It's the former players, the former coaches, the younger kids that are about to embark on, Lobo Nation, being a Lobo football player. So it's a lot that goes into it, and we don't take it lightly.
So when you guys leave the field here in a few and head back into Lobo Den, obviously our cameras aren't in there. We don't get to hear or see much about what happens there. Or is it are you more of a rah-rah type of guy, or are you intense?
I do my rah-rah and embarking during the week coaching. When they go back in the locker room, we normally gather as groups, and offensively we'll meet and we'll review our script for the night and how we're going to open up the game in a normal situation. Defensive, they'll talk about, their reminders, and then we'll gather up and I hit that whistle and we come on out. But no, I don't go in there and give a win one for the Gipper speech. That's, that's not me.
All righty. What has to happen tonight for Longview to be 1-0 tonight?
Well, offensively, we're going to find a way to move the ball. And running the ball is going to be important. It's going to be easier said than done. They're very difficult to plan for. Great scheme that they have, and we're going to hit some big plays. And to do that, you've got to stay on schedule. Stay away from the pre-snap penalties. The turnovers, that's bitten us in the rear end several times this year. You've got to stay away from that. And then defense is about lining up to their tempo. Don't get out formation, out of line, and be ready for the gimmicks that they're going to throw at you. And then we've already mentioned the kicking game, which is very important. We can't give them, big plays in the kicking game because, that's a turnover when they block a punt or block another kick. So.
Sure.
And it can be a momentum turner as well.
Oh, it is. It's a big, it's a sudden change. Whether it's good or bad, you got to be ready to go, and that can be demoralizing to a team. It's how you respond to it.
Yeah. Keaton wanted to be sure he's watching tonight.
Yes.
Not surprised.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Coach, you got anything else for him? We're going to let him go
No,
back
man,
to his team.
I'm just excited. I'm
Yeah,
glad to
we're
be
ready.
here.
Absolutely.
Ready for some Lobo football.
He's got
Yes,
some football
we're
to
ready.
coach.
Glad to have you. I'm glad y'all got to be able to live stream.
I appreciate it.
Did that have
Absolutely.
anything to do with Coach King in the background pulling strings or no?
You never know.
On that
Evidently, I'm well known in New York City.
On that note, we're going to send it upstairs to the producer. We'll be right back with our final segment before the big matchup.
Let's go.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And now at Orr, we want to buy your used vehicle and we'll give you guaranteed top dollar for yours. And if you prefer to trade, even better, with massive savings on every new vehicle at Orr Cadillac GMC in Longview.
Don't fumble when you're looking for your next trailer. At RJ Trailers, we got the hookup. Cargo Mate, Hallmark, Text Line, Diamond C. We've got the inventory selection to get you into the end zone. Snap into savings with R&J Trailers. Don't pass up on the best deals around. R&J Trailers in Longview and online at rnjtrailers.com. We've got the hookup.
All right, welcome back to Lobo Stadium. We're on the field with our Longview game day set. Morgan Smith, Lizzie Baker, Katie Baker, and this is our second segment of the evening. Morgan, what are we going to speak about here?
Let's talk about area games. I mean, it's week one. I was driving down here, and I'm seeing, I guess, is this a thing where a school goes and like every 3 or 4 miles they put their sign?
Yes, that's a big deal.
I've never heard of this, but I've noticed like 3 different schools
Yes.
on 155 had their signs just on the side of the road.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did they start the trip yesterday?
Like yard signs? I was thinking it must take forever.
Deal. This is a big deal. They will take and ask the coaches the route the team will take to the game to make sure that they have signs.
Morgan, I feel like we even had this when we were at Spring Hill.
I don't remember it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, shout out to
those parents.
some team with a big
yeah.
M. Maybe Maud, I don't know. Liberty Ilo did the same thing.
Really?
It was. I'm not gonna say it's odd. It's just, I literally was like, it took somebody forever to drive this route.
Oh yeah, that's not new, Morgan. That's been a
Well,
while.
anyway,
The further you go, just wait until they have the fire trucks and the police officers with the sirens taking you out of town.
Yeah.
now see, I
that'll be
remember
fine.
that.
Okay.
I remember that. Yeah. But I guess that would have been Maud coming our way. Maud
It could've
Cardinals,
been,
a little bit
yeah.
180 school, which by the way is having a really good season.
I've seen some of those highlights on game day, yeah.
Yeah, so they've I think they've broken their offensive record by like 900 yards, total
Wow.
yards record. They have a quarterback that's a 2,000-yard passer and a 1,500-yard rusher. They have a linebacker that has 160 tackles.
Wow.
I know. I was like, I don't know is this kid tackling everybody
Are they
every
in the-
play?
I feel like, are they in the same division as Mart?
I have no idea.
Because that could be a good little matchup.
Mart's 2A, right? Mart's picked to win the state championship by every single person that picks. by the
And
way.
they have been for how many years?
Yeah, like that's it.
I mean,
That's a program that has a legacy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Much like the Lobos here.
If I'm being honest, I'm not sure I could find Mart with a Google search. So
It's outside of Waco.
we
Yeah.
only know this
Yeah.
because we're friends with
Quan
Quan
Cosby.
Hi,
Wait,
Quan.
From Texas, yeah.
Name dropping, big
Yeah,
time.
I'm
on the
sorry.
game day
Juan
set.
Cosby was one of my favorite football players ever.
Nice guy.
Yes.
Very nice
Is he?
guy.
Yeah.
He was like 39 years old playing college football, but
He was not that old.
he was 30 for sure.
But he was an athlete. He can ball out in baseball
He'd
and
been a
football.
professional athlete for 10 years
Yes.
before he went and played college football.
It's true. Hey, when you're an athlete, you're an athlete.
He couldn't stay in the dorms. He had to go home to his family.
Stop it.
That's a true statement. But
Anyway, I think we should get started on the matchups
All right,
for
let's
this
do it.
evening. Lizzie, you want to lead us?
Tyler Legacy is playing at Garland tonight. So Legacy was 4th in district. Garland's 10-0. I think
Yeah,
Garland
first.
has definitely got this one.
Why are you going to do legacy like that?
I'm sorry. I know we're
I know,
East
I'm
Texas.
supposed to-
I'm
I know.
rooting for our East Texas.
I should be
but
loyal, but I mean, I do not know who Garland has played this year. So
Garland's a really good football team, Division I quarterback, have a really good running back. I don't know anything about their defense. I just remember seeing a bunch of stats.
well,
from their
last
football
week
team.
they beat South Garland 70-14.
South Garland, never even heard of them.
Yeah.
I thought there was just Garland, so I didn't know there was a South Garland.
I'm
Yeah.
sure there's
Now I
an
do.
East and a West as well. Who knows?
There's
by
a
this
Magnolia
point.
West. I learned that
Yes,
just a little bit
there
ago.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
Next up is Tyler High at Magnolia West.
There we go.
Or they're playing Magnolia West.
Hey,
Tyler is 6-4. Magnolia West is 9-1. They got 2nd in district. They lost to College Station last week.
I just find it so hard to believe. Like, I was expecting Longview to win last week and to win by 10 or more. But, like, I'm sitting here watching the score, and, like, I didn't expect Longview to be that much better.
Oh, it was a fun game to watch because it was.
If you're on the Longview side.
Yes, because it was such a clean ball game. I mean, so few penalties, didn't turn the ball over. I mean, I feel like that was the kind of game you wanted to lead up into the playoffs.
Absolutely. And to give Tyler some credit, they lost their quarterback on the second series of the game.
Okay, here we go.
So the rest of the game, they had a wide receiver playing quarterback.
All right.
Not to take anything away from the Lobo defense. They were flying all over the field, aggressive, just confident, like I haven't seen them play all year. So that combined with the fact they lost their quarterback, they had no shot of scoring any points.
Frank didn't give me all the facts there.
But I will say,
I waited till the live show to do it.
Okay,
the Magnolia team that Longview's playing this evening lost to Magnolia West 21-15, in which they had 4 turnovers in that game. So I wonder if the pressure on defense can make it enough to get them to turn the ball over, and that could be a winning formula for the Lobos this evening.
Yeah, I think Longview, it's a young football team, but I hate to even say this out loud, but it's true. I mean, they're an experienced football team. They're playing big-time opponents week in, week out. I mean, who plays Denton Ryan on national television? First game of the season, starting 11 sophomores.
Yeah.
You know, so they've grown up quick. You know,
hold on, and then invites a team that hadn't lost in 6 years to come play them.
Right.
Homecoming.
Yeah.
They're not scared.
I told I live right on the Arkansas border, and I told everybody, was like, oh man, I can't believe Longview's playing them, and I was like, it's just different.
Yeah.
And that's the best that state has to offer. And I'm gonna hate on the state of Arkansas for a second.
It's not a new thing with you at all.
Yeah, it's like this. It just is what it is. You got to realize I live there. Everybody around me is Arkansas Razorback fans. They talk about how great Arkansas high school football is, and that's the best they have to offer. All right, imagine what South Lake Carroll, like a big 6A school. What's another big 6A school? Just a random one.
Allen.
Imagine what Allen would have done to that team. Well, you know, with 8,000 students. You know what I mean? And keep in mind that team. You can recruit in Arkansas. You can.
You can.
All right. So that was a stacked team, and that's the best they have to offer. Okay. And I'm a huge Longview fan.
And if I'm being honest, if that team comes down here today, I think it's way worse.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I agree.
The team's grown up so much.
And talking about last week, the wrinkle that Coach King put into the offense with the quarterback keep and the runs, oh my gosh, it was lethal against Tyler last week.
Yeah. And Morgan, you weren't available, or you were in wherever Texarkana. You missed. I don't know if it's a quarterback change or not. I didn't want to ask Coach specifically about his quarterback situation, but I don't know if Josh Thomas had been nursing an injury the few weeks prior, but the offense, it just kept on churning.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the dual quarterback setup. I mean, it has its advantages and disadvantages, but if somebody's hot or somebody's not, you always have another option. And it's not like a disrespectful option where you're like, hey, we're bringing this other kid in. You can rotate series and do different things. And both of them are good and, at different things.
Keep them fresh.
And whether the quarterback was hurt or not, the Lobos didn't give them any time to pass. They were in the backfield almost instantly all game last week. This young defense has grown and developed, and they've got some confidence, and I'm hoping they can carry that on into next round with a victory tonight.
Well, I'm a huge Devion Isaac fan. Willie Nelson. I want to call him Willie Andrews all the time.
How do you miss that name?
Listen, I grew up around Willie Andrews, and I remember from Longview, I can still see him catching a game-winning pass right here on this sideline, running it in overtime. I can see it right now. Something about that play, I've never forgot him from one play.
Yeah.
And from one play in his high school career, I've never forgot him. And he balled. Don't get me wrong. He balled. He played in the NFL, whole 9 yards. But I distinctly remember him from an overtime win. Don't know who they were playing. Joel Armstrong throws a pass. It's tipped by a receiver. He catches it, runs it all the way in, throws his helmet. I'll never forget it. I don't know why.
And on the flip side of that, the first time I ever saw Willie Nelson was at Media Day, and the first thought I had was, that's awesome. There's a kid named Willie Nelson, right? So it's the exact opposite. I can't forget his name.
Yeah, forget it. For sure. All right, Liz, you want to tell us our next one?
Brian Rudder, which is the first time I've ever heard of that team before, is playing Marshall. So Rudder is only, I believe, been around since 2008, and this is their very first playoff appearance since the school's been open.
And
so Brian Rudder's a Houston area team.
Okay.
I'm asking. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I would think around College Station.
I don't have enough information to tell you who's going to win. I'm rooting for them, though. I can tell you that.
I know the district. That district's playing Houston area team, so it's somewhere around Houston. It's just exploding in that area. So.
They're both 7-3 on the year, so it's gonna be I think with experience-wise, I wouldn't be surprised Marshall pulls it out.
I just can't. I just can't pick against Marshall.
I know.
Their defense is good. The teams they've lost to are really good football teams.
And they gave these guys a pretty good fight.
They did. I mean, I was not expecting that. But I think Marshall, the experience matters. And unless this team is just loaded with talent and they've played some just really unbelievable opponents, which I have no idea, maybe they have, I'm going Marshall.
Yeah, the nerves of your first playoff experience as well. I mean, it just, I think you can't pick against them. So the winner of that game is going to play either Crosby or Madison.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
We saw firsthand Crosby has a pretty good squad last year.
They do. We still have a good squad.
Yeah, so that's going to be a tough matchup the following week. So next up we got Huffman-Hargrave versus Kilgore. Another team, I don't know, have you ever heard of that one before?
No, but I've heard of Kilgore. And my buddy Clint Fuller is the head coach over there.
So
and
you heard of Kilgore.
And he has Texas Mr. Football. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he had like 20 touchdowns last week. And played running back. He had like 400 and something yards. I think he literally had 8 touchdowns, 6 or 8.
Yeah, it was 65-58 last week against Lindell.
And that's the first thing I did. I texted him and I said, "Man, why are you letting a running back score 6 or how many touchdowns it was?" And he was like, "Dude, we could have lost." I was like, "Oh, really? I didn't know any of that." But he had like 2 interceptions on defense. I mean, dude played a solid football game. Proud of what Coach Fuller's done there, and look for a state championship run out of Kilgore this year.
Hey, they're 9-1. I'm backing them. Now, I will say that they played each other, I think, in the 3rd round last year, these two teams, and it was a close game. It was 2017. So, but I don't think it's going to be the same this year.
No, I mean, Kilgore's 1 seed in that district. They did lose to Pine Tree, and I don't know what when.
I think that was early in the year, too.
Yeah, and Pine Tree, that's a game they're supposed to win, being 2 divisions above, but going Kilgore.
Yep. All right, Katie.
Next up is Lumberton versus Lindell. They're both 6-4. Last week, Lumberton lost to Vider 28-27. So it was a close one. And then, of course, Lindell
played Argyle in the state championship last year, right?
Mm-hmm. You have to bring this up every single time.
That's when I need to apologize to them.
Gosh.
Once again.
Single time.
But clearly, Lindell's got some offense.
Yeah, no.
They can score some points.
Lindell can ball. It's very rare to come off a state championship run in a town like Lindell where there's not a lot around you. It's not like you have kids moving in because their parents are getting jobs and this and that. It's kind of out there on its own. When you have a big state championship run, it's normally not followed by another one.
Hey, they have a Starbucks. I can't confirm.
Hey, they're growing. They are growing a lot.
Yes.
I wonder how many seniors they graduated last year.
I think a lot. They brought a lot more back on offense than defense. So that might explain the points.
The score last week.
Yes.
All right, so we got Pittsburgh versus Brownsboro, and they're playing at Hallsville tonight. Not either one of these are.
Listen, Coach Abron, big fan of his. He took Paul Pewitt to a state championship 2 years ago in 2019. Was not picked to win 1 playoff game that entire run. Good man, doing great things with that program. They have good athletes. He just runs a completely different offense than they've ever ran. They won big versus Liberty Ilo last week.
They did.
He's my buddy, so I'm gonna pick him. But I really don't know. I mean, it's that team. That team is so hit or miss. You could have gave me 21 points last week against Liberty Ilo, and I still wouldn't have taken Pittsburgh. And they beat them by like 40 points.
Well, we talked to the Gilmer head coach a couple of weeks ago, Coach Metzel, and it was the week that they were playing Pittsburgh. And he will say, this is a team that we're supposed to beat, but it's still terrifying as a coach because you know that they have athletes.
Did he really say that?
Yes, he
really did.
There, and he really said it. He was like, these are the games.
He must have got his coach's handbook out. What am I supposed to say?
No. He said,
Come
these
on.
are the teams.
He knew he was going to win by 60.
These are the teams that keep you up at night because coaches know that they do.
He slept great Thursday night. He slept great. Went to bed early, woke up late. He wasn't worried. Gilmer is that good.
You've got to keep your thumb on top of the kids because sometimes kids are kids and they're going to think,
See now,
I'll just play down to my competition. And that's terrifying as a coach. It is. It's scary.
All right.
We grew up in a household.
There
of
it
a
is. My
coach.
buddy Joel Armstrong, my childhood friend, was playing quarterback. He just texted me. They were playing Lake Highland. That's who they were playing. Lake Highland.
Thank you, Joel, for watching.
We need to get Joel. Joel's a legend. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Mr. Armstrong, for watching. He's coaching down in Houston now too.
Oh, good for him.
I was really hoping we could get him on at some point this year. Maybe we can in the playoffs.
That'd be great.
But man, I just think a lot of him and his dad, and yeah, I'll never forget it.
All right, next up, Ellie versus Van. So Ellie was 5-5, fourth in district, but Van is undefeated, first in district.
Well, they may be undefeated, but they should have lost to Liberty Ilo, the game I was at, and I'm telling you, they should have lost. But
So
will
what do
they?
you see?
We were here, and I was in the press box watching Liberty Ilo on Texarkana Game Day stream, and they had the ball with a minute and a half left with a chance to go down and win that football game. And
It has nothing to do with that. They missed two. I'm just letting you know. It should have never came to that. It should have never came to that.
Okay, I was about to say.
Liberty Ilo missed 2 extra points. They missed I guess what would be a 25-yard. They missed a field goal from the 15-yard line.
Chip shot.
And there was a play that Van scored on that I'm going to say was not a touchdown, and I don't mean like, they wouldn't have got in. Like it was not a backwards pass that they scored on.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying, okay? Liberty Ilo should have won that game. But do I think they're going to win tonight? I have major questions right now because I have no idea what happened last week against Pittsburgh. That is a game they should have won. And I'm not saying won easily, but that they should have won that football game. And I just don't know. I don't know where their head's at. You know, with high school football players, it can be a week-to-week thing. But they should have beat Van before, but that means nothing tonight.
And we've seen a little bit with these Lobos. When they go on the road, it's just something can happen. You know what I mean? You just make mistakes. You turn the ball over. You get penalties, stupid penalties. Just you let the emotions get the best of you. And that and Liberty Ilo's young, a lot like this Lobo team.
Yeah, they have so many athletes on that team. Van does not have better athletes. Like, they just don't on either side of the football. I know they got that wide receiver. He's a good high school football player. Their cornerback's better. I mean, he just is. Liberty Ilo's cornerback. I want to pick Liberty Ilo, but I'm telling you, I just don't know. I just don't know. After last week, I don't know.
Well, I'm going to pick them because I don't have any money on it. So let's go, Ellie.
Yeah,
I'm on your side
trust me, I want Ellie to win.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I don't know.
But Ellie for the win.
There you go.
I was going to say Ellie, and now you're sitting here making me rethink my decision.
He took the long way to get to that one.
I'm like sitting here thinking maybe I should change what I'm going to go with.
Well,
But are you going to stick with it?
Yes, now at their next game, I definitely am going to stick with my pick of Carthage.
Yes, I don't think I'm going to waver there.
Do we even need to mention who they're playing tonight?
I feel bad for who they're playing.
Okay, I will say that this is impressive. They are 79-1 in their last 80 games, and they have a 39-game win streak.
Who do they
right
lose
now.
to?
That's a good question.
That is a
I
great
do not
question.
know.
I think I know the answer. The look on your face tells me you know who it is.
I don't know.
Oh,
who it is. I have no idea.
I guess I assumed PG had to have beat them once on their state title runs, right?
PG's no.
I know what?
I don't think they've ever beat Carthage. I know they had them beat one time, and a fumble that was ran back for a touchdown cost them the game. But I don't. I would like to know who beat them.
Well, I will say.
I bet you it wasn't a 4A team.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Bet you it was a 5A team.
I bet
Yeah.
it was too.
Yeah,
Liberty Hill. Man, Tyson Jimerson coming through in the clutch.
Oh
Liberty
my
Hill
gosh, Liberty Hill.
That's
Liberty
how
Hill,
I know.
they're like are they a 6A school now?
They're big. I do know that.
I mean, Carthage played Crosby, who's a 5A Division I team this season.
Yeah.
So they played 3 divisions up in one.
Wow.
Well, who else is going to play them around here? You have got to, when you get a call, when it's time to set your schedule, and you get a call from Carthage's coach, what are you going to say to the man?
I'm not going to answer the phone.
I'm not going to answer that either.
Like,
But, you know,
no.
they're running into that. Like Carthage.
Yeah.
Nobody can find a game.
Yeah, that's why they're only 9-0, not 10. They haven't played 10 games.
Like, you look at Pleasant Grove's schedule, you think they want to play that schedule?
Yeah.
No.
They say they do. Nobody will play them.
Yeah.
In a match between Carthage.
Yeah. It's
I don't,
tough.
you know, and hey, I keep hearing this. It's all over the forums. Let Longview play Carthage. Listen, I know y'all won these championships. All right, how many? 13 or whatever. You do not want those problems. Like, there's such a big difference. Just letting y'all know. All right, say whatever you want, but the people in these forums really want to see that game.
I mean, I'd watch it.
Oh, I mean, I
love it.
I would love
You know
to be
how
there for it.
insane
Yeah.
But there is
Yeah,
a
it would be
reason.
insane.
There is a reason they have divisions and all this and that. But they are a great 4A football team, and they'd beat a lot of 5A football teams. Don't get me wrong, but
And unfortunately, back to your original point, they're going to beat somebody tonight, and we don't.
Gatesville?
Yeah.
Here's
All
the
right.
thing, and I even
Yeah.
feel sorry for who they're playing next week. It's either going to be Sweeney or somebody called Hampshire Fannet.
So listen, they're gonna
Magnolia
thing with them. They'll put up 42, 49 points. They'll probably let them score 7, and it won't be too out. I mean, that's out of hand. He's not going to beat them by 80 like he could. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's move. We're running out of time here.
All right, next up is Tatum versus Pottsboro. Last week, Tatum lost 28-27 to Sabine. They probably have a bad taste in their mouth. They're going to bring out and get the W this week.
Well, they better. They're going to be sitting at home. Let's go Tatum.
I think it's going to be Tatum. They're 8-2 versus Pottsboro, which is 5-4. I see Tatum with a victory.
And last up, we got
Maddie
Troop
Martin.
versus Paul Pewitt tonight. Troop 7-3. They were third in district. Paul Pewitt
Holland.
6-4. Worst record, but they're second in district. So
Presley
I'm
Mason.
going to go Pewitt.
I am too.
Pewitt runs
I think it's Pewitt, too. And this is now their 14th straight playoff appearance for Pewitt.
Yep. Let's get into some games from last night real quick.
Kendall Moore.
Well, tell us about PG.
They won
PG,
big.
They won big.
Yeah,
Yeah, the starting quarterback broke his arm, sixth play of the
Captain
season. In
Peyton
his first 5
Monahan.
plays, he had 150 total yards in 5 plays. Last night, he
Emma
comes out in a cast.
Engelhart.
They give him the ball, and he goes like 60 yards, and then scores the next play.
Ashley
And then
Wilson.
within 3 plays, he had over 100 yards total offense.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
so-
keep in mind, he's still in a cast.
Yeah, so he
Dangerous.
can't play quarterback because he can't take the snap at the moment.
Grace
So
Larkin.
they're just lining him up in the field and getting the ball in space.
Y'all
and
ever seen a
it's
Little League
unstoppable.
game where, like,
Laney Creekbaum.
they hand the ball, the quarterback takes the ball and walks back and gives it to the kid?
Yes.
Like, that is what we
Levi
witnessed.
Shippard.
Yeah.
Like, there was no, like, we're trying to fake you out. Like, hey, he's getting the ball, and we're just going to
Ramon.
Try and take
we're
it
not going to
down.
toss it to him. We're just going to go hand it to him.
If you did not know, there's no way you would
Taylor
believe that kid is
Hendry.
15 years old.
Wow.
He's one of the best.
Lindsey
He's
Bennett.
one of the. I said when he was in 8th grade, he's the best 8th grade quarterback I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Kendall
Last year,
Carter.
he couldn't play varsity football because of some transfer rules, but
Sophia
he's one of
Gomez.
the best. All right, how good Tennyson is, I cannot imagine Tennyson was better than him as a sophomore.
Peyton Denning.
I can see. I'm excited.
And I'm not saying he's better than Tennyson. I'm just saying I can't imagine there would have been that big of a difference. You know what I mean?
Anyway, back to the final score. I can't remember what the actual final score was.
49-21.
49-21. But Pleasant Grove, they played as
Wreck
well as
shop.
they could possibly play last
Yeah, I
night.
mean, it was 21-14 at halftime, and then just out of nowhere, it was 41 to
They
14.
opened it up in the second half.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Last night, Gilmer played Mahia,
The cheerleaders are
71-14.
coached
I
by
think they put
Courtney
50
Riddell
on them by
and
half.
Madison
Yeah.
Burnham.
Gilmer, and we were talking about this before we got on there, I just can't imagine Carthage being that much. If
And
you go
now
position
for
at
your
position,
varsity Lobo
I don't know that Carthage is
cheerleaders.
better at quarterback. I don't know that they're better at running back. They can't be better at wide receiver.
Head captain.
Why is
Lacey
Carthage
Cannon.
so much better? Because it looks like they shouldn't be. Gilmer is
Co-captain
that
Until you
good.
see
Washington.
Carthage on the field play.
But
Yeah, but
Gilmer,
Gilmer's
their
impressive.
offensive line's big. They're not like a normal 4A team, small offensive line. The offensive line's big. The quarterback, he has to be one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the state in 4A. He has to be. All right. And then the running, we have 2 running backs that are, I don't know if they're Division I players, but they are great high school football players. They do have 2 Division I wide receivers. Their slot guy is as good as gold. I mean,
Ariana Pearson.
I watched them play, and I remember saying, I thought Tennyson was good. Now I think he's great.
Randy Floyd.
I can't remember. You know, when you look at winners, you look like Pleasant Grove's Ben Harmon. Played in 49 football games, lost 2 in his entire high school football career.
Tough high school football player.
But Brandon Tennyson has to be the
Kirsten
best
Johnson.
quarterback I've seen for it. It has nothing to do with, no disrespect to Ben. Ben won 2 state
Caroline
championships.
Snyder.
Ben's that dude. But just if you he's going to go play college football. Where UTSA? All right.
That's
I
where
mean,
he's
like,
But he's been off.
Kate.
Yeah.
like
He's committed there.
He's committed.
all right, dude can ball. And that, like we talked earlier, that delayed handoff, the defense is stout. Like, I want to see this game. It just blows my mind that they only scored 7 points against a football team as good as they are. So I don't know. I haven't seen
McFarland.
Carthage play in person, but I just cannot fathom them being that much better.
Well,
Speeds on the field.
I just can't wait to see the
Abigail
rematch.
Smith.
And we're going to see a rematch. I mean,
certainly
know-
hope so.
like,
I'm
We're gonna
cheering
be
for
there.
it.
book your tickets. Go ahead and get your hotel.
Madeline
If you're either one of those teams, I mean, they're going to be there.
We
And
hope.
unfortunately, not unfortunately, I live in Texarkana.
Abigail
All right, all these teams
Wilson.
play Carthage and Gilmer, but like it does get old watching the same team win every
Andrea
year.
Smith.
But next year, Watch out. Carthage doesn't win state championship 2022. Heard it here first.
You heard it here first. So we're running out of time, Morgan. Do you want to tell everyone where they can catch our feed? Because
right after I talk about Texas High, Texas High won big last night. Braylon Stewart had 311 yards, 27 carries, 4 touchdowns, accounted for 75% of their offense.
Wow.
I saw that stat, and I thought it was a typo. I'm not going to lie.
Hey, listen, I don't know how he's not committed to a major university yet. I mean, I've said it all year. He's the top uncommitted running back in the state of Texas, and I'm not the only one that thinks that. 247 Sports thinks it as well. I don't know what's going on with this transfer portal deal. It's hurting quarterbacks and running backs. I feel bad for this kid because he is so good. He's so good.
Yes,
I mean,
I've seen him play.
I mean, he's ranked a top 15 running back in the state of Texas, and he has Division I offers, but because of the transfer, they will not take him until they find out who's transferring in and out. This transfer portal, they don't realize what it's doing to high school kids at those 2 positions.
Yeah.
Anyway, Game Because of You Iowa Rules will not be on Facebook or YouTube. You can catch it on LongviewGameDay.com, or cooler way to do it, download the Longview Game Day app, and you can watch it directly on there. Please do that for us.
And if you can't find the page, go to our Facebook page. There'll be a link you can click. It'll take you right to our website. We're gonna end this stream on Facebook, and we'll go back live at about 6:50 for the actual game itself.
Guess who's watching right now?
Who's watching?
Coach Lamore.
Oh!
Did you say Coach King was watching?
No, I said Keaton.
Oh,
I said Keaton.
Yeah.
Oh, Coach
I know.
Lamore?
Hey, Coach Lamore.
Yeah.
When do you get Coach Lamore on here with us?
Oh, my gosh.
That would
Absolutely.
be hilarious.
I love
It'd
that
be
dude.
epic. Yes.
Love that dude.
Yes.
I can't imagine Coach King with a phone in his office watching our pregame show. 10 minutes before
I bet you ain't
Just
ever
so you
watched
know,
a minute of
I
it.
said Keaton. I believe
Keaton's down in
Oh, I thought
Keaton's
okay.
in Turks.
And
Turks
now
and
we
Caicos.
will
Yeah,
have the
I'll be.
school
Oh, I thought he was in
from
Florida.
Magnolia High School.
He's in the more rich Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Keaton is.
Yeah.
Didn't want to tell you.
Anyway, all right, well, that's it. Catch it at LongviewGameDay.com or download the Longview